There's an event to honor our veterans, those that were injured during battle. Remember last year the Duke of Sussex visited Nigeria with his wife. Through the Invictus, they have a foundation that they try to raise the morale of troops all over the world that have suffered one form of deformity or the other in the course of defending their individual countries. So we're supposed to be there. And actually, half of my team have already gone, but unfortunately, the Canadian embassy, for knowledge best known to them, denied us visa. So I wasn't sure, and so I wanted to be silent about it. But when we couldn't get the visa, I said, this is blessing in disguise. So I'm really very happy to be here. And I think this is just a clear reminder to us that we're on our own, that we need to stand strong as a nation so that nobody takes us for granted.
Yeah, hello. So the news making the rounds today, and that General Christopher Musa, the Chief of Defense Staff of the Nigerian Army, made today when he said that the Canadian High Commission or the Canadian Embassy in Nigeria denied certain number of Nigerian military personnel, including the general, visa to go to Canada for uh, an event that usually we will showcase and honor veterans. Came to light today, and there've been a lot of reactions from Nigeria, from the Nigerian defense community, including the National Security Defense Chief, and Nuhu Ribadu as well, um, reacting to the news. I mean, if you go all over the internet, BBC has it. It's all over the internet. All over the internet, all news agents or news stations carried it already. It is concerning. It is a worrying situation when a nation denies your general. Now, this is not a case of saying, "Oh, you will not come back," or "You will come back." It's not. It's got nothing to do with that, because an emissary of Nigeria sent by a nation, questions about sponsorship, where they will stay or what they will do, is out of the question. So the question that people are wondering, why did they deny the visa? Because obviously, like you heard here, the general didn't particularly state that. But where it is concerning for me is the fact that it would take a lot of the valuing of our system for another nation to look at one of our Nigeria's top generals to say you're not fit to come to our country. Now, he said half of the group already in Canada, the other half going were denied. So the question is the Canadian Commission saying there are too many of you going to Canada? Should that be their problem? No, but the main part I want to focus on is the effect of bad administration and government and the effect of corruption. When corruption belittles a nation, that's what Nigeria is a very powerful nation. General Christopher Musa mentioned it here. He said, this reminds us that we're on our own. We're on our own. And that we need to take care of ourselves so that no one tosses around with us. And this is where I'm coming from. Because the general notion is to react to what Canada does or what Canada hasn't done. And I'm not caught out for that. What I'm caught out for is I'm going to read the news as well. I just want to, react to this first, and I'll put a little, you know, my own take of it. This reminds me, this reminds you, this brings to light the idea you see Nigerians queuing outside embassies every day. Embassies have seen Nigerians trying to run out of Nigeria for so long because we've had administrations who have denied and destroyed our nation. And Nigerians don't see any other hope within Nigeria. If not, there will be no reason for another nation to tell one of Nigeria's highest general. Imagine a general from the United States saying comes coming to Nigeria and they say they will deny him visa. Imagine that. Just imagine that. Let that play around in your head. We're talking about a general who's gone to war and seen everything, who sits in meetings where they're talking about national defense and global defense, who will speak in symposiums about defending the nation, now being denied a visa to go to another country. We're talking about Nigeria and Canada where there's an understanding. So does that really make sense to you now? And General Christopher Musa here was spot on. We are on our own as Nigerians. We are on our own. We have to wake up. See, the viewpoint that the entire world has about Nigeria, the good part is our entertainment, our culture, our tradition. But the bad part is the overwhelming corruption in our country. This is why I'm trying to say to you guys, and for as many of you who have come across my podcast and my videos and my content, I have been hammering on corruption and I've been hammering on 2027. I think we can start to make the change that we sort of started in 2023. Let's make a gain on it. Let us improve on the gains that we made already since 2023. Let's don't give up now. It's got nothing to do with General Musa. It's got to do with corruption in our nation. Well, we have corrupt government officials, a corrupt system. Our system, the Nigerian system, is completely broken. It is rife with corruption. Rife with corruption. Somebody goes to the police station, reports a case, the other person gets arrested for a civil case because you pay the police to come, make an arrest, and you lock the person up for days. The system is completely broken. There's corruption all over Nigeria, in our government agencies, in our judiciary, in every fabric of our society. That's why I am really. I mean, the news got my attention. I initially didn't want to talk about it because I just felt like, but then as I kept thinking about it, I just couldn't let it pass.
You can imagine we were invited for the event with our team. Our team, half have gone, half have been denied. So the competition is ongoing with half players there and half back here. It's really very disappointing. But we thank God for everything. So it is with great honor and a deep sense of responsibility that I stand before you to give the opening remarks as chairman for this historic maiden annual lecture of the Alumni Association of the National Institute for Security Studies.
You can see that it is quite disappointing. It's quite disappointing that these are the kind of news that you hear when we deal with the political system of Nigeria. So you just imagine that this is a this is a general. This is a general. It is it is interesting. That's why you and I have to wake up. I keep saying this. It is not about um it's got everything to do with corruption. The way Nigeria is run. It's got everything to do with corruption. Whether or not you like it, it's got everything to do with corruption. Our system is broken. Let's accept it that our system is broken so we can fix it. Do you understand? Let's accept our system is broken so we can fix it. Here's the news, for example, Canadian High Commission, Canadian Embassy can go to hell for denying Nigerian Defense Chief others visas, says the NSA, National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. Says Musa described the incident as disappointing, but emphasized that it serves as a reminder for Nigeria to stand strong as a nation and not be taken for granted. Does this remind you some of the things I've been talking about? That our politicians for so long have taken us for granted? This is why other nations take us for granted. A nation of over 200 million people, the largest in Africa, taken for granted like a mop to sweep the ground, to wipe the ground. Nigeria's National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has slammed the Canadian embassy for denying visas to Chief of Defense Staff Christopher Musa and other top military officers. If you use the word other top military officer, you play it down. We're talking about General Musa and all the senior generals as well, like himself, and then all the senior officers too. Ribado's comment came after Musa reviewed at the maiden annual lecture of the National Association of the Institute for Security Studies, held in Abuja on Thursday, that he and his team were invited to Canada for an event honoring war veterans, but half of the delegation was denied visas, the cable reports. Musa described the incident as disappointing, but emphasized that it serves as a reminder for Nigeria to stand strong as a nation and not be taken for granted. And he says every disappointment is a blessing. Yesterday, I was meant to be in Canada. There's an event to honor our veterans, those that were injured during battles, and we were meant to be there. Says we were invited with our team. Half has gone, and half has been denied. It's very disappointing. He emphasized. Ribadu commended Musa for speaking out about the incident, saying, "Thank you for the courage to say Canada denied you visas. They can go to hell." He emphasized that despite the disappointment, Nigeria is peaceful and strong. Nigeria is peaceful and strong, and must work hard to overcome such challenges. Listen, we have to work hard to overcome this challenge of corruption. Don't it is eating into you and I. Don't take this corruption for granted. These things, every time you hear this news, take it seriously. I'm telling you, take this news seriously. It matters a lot. Take the news seriously. Do you understand? You take the news seriously. Don't take it for granted. Nigeria is a big player in the world security, in the global security. Nigeria is a big player. That's General Christopher Musa. Nigeria is a big player in the global security. If you can deny a general, chief of defense staff, it's the same equivalent anywhere in the world. So you take the American chief of defense staff, and you take this one. It's just the same title, and they have the same responsibility anywhere around the world. So this is the effect of bad policies and corruption. This is the effect. I mean, the other day the news came out to say that I think it was Tinubu that tried to get Biden to speak nice about him, but he didn't. When corruption is so prevalent in the nation, the entire world can see it. There's nothing you can do to hide it. Nigeria deserves better than what we're getting. We cannot be, you know, letting another nation whitewash and play down the power of our generals. These are the people that lead nations to battle. Do you understand? There's nothing about the only thing we see that every disappointment is a blessing is that it's giving us and showing us why we need to band together come 2027 to make sure we elect the right set of people to become our presidents and our senators, our lawmakers, our governors, and all the public offices that need elections. This is just emphasizing it. So all of these events that are happening, they're just a reminder to all of us why we need, emphatically why we need to brace up for the general election 2027, why we must not sell our votes for peanuts, why we must not let these politicians use us as thugs to rig elections, why we shouldn't let politicians, and corrupt judges ruin our electoral system. I will not let professors who have been paid even before they become, returning officers to rig elections, write election results even before they were cast, before the election day. Where we must ensure that the results are seen and heard and counted for that moment, and then we can follow it up till it get uploaded. Whether it's going to be on the IRF to come 2027, we don't know, but this is the reason why. Don't take these things for granted. My emphasis to all of you is this, right? If this can happen to your general, what do you think about yourself? If the general of the Nigerian military can be denied visa by Canada. What about you? That's why I said corruption has no hiding place. Corruption is not meant for certain people to enjoy and the other people to suffer. We all will suffer it one way or another. It relates to our global perception, how we are perceived globally. Do you understand when people talk about 419s and you know, things like that? The first nation they look at is Nigeria. Obviously, they want to talk about India and Pakistan, but the first nation they look at is Nigeria. That's your perception. Was it not the other day they released the corruption perception? Is it corruption perception index or something like that? Something in that light, and they would look at the level where Nigeria is. You cannot build on on faulty foundations and expect the building to stand. When a system is corrupt, when a system is rigged, there's nothing you build on top of it that will stand. Case in point, 2023 election we know was heavily rigged. Since that 2023 election and the result was announced, how many can you look at the what the current administration has been doing? How can you say there's progress? How? Everything skyrocketed over 1,000%. Now we're talking about increase in transportation for everyone, and they were talking about increase in telecom tariffs. That's what happens when corruption seizes authority, takes over power. So let's don't play these things down. These things are quite important. These things are quite important. They mean a lot. And don't think it doesn't affect you. I just said it already, it affects every single one of us. So as you take your time to watch this and react to the news, remember, we're in this battle for the soul of Nigeria together. We cannot leave it in the hands of the politicians. They'll continue to ruin our nation. Let's make sure that we have the right people in place of authority, not those politicians who have ruined our nation. They've destroyed everything. They've destroyed everything. What they have to give right now is just give Nigeria to their children to continue from where they left off so that they can be well off for the rest of their lives. Our politicians are so wealthy, but they never created any job. They don't have any company they're running that's created that amount of money that they own. We know they use politics for theft. Amechi said it. So we have to make our minds up, just like the chief of defense staff said. We don't want to be taken for granted anymore. Our Nigerians don't be taken for granted anymore. In his word, he says it serves as a reminder that we have to stand strong as a nation and not be taken for granted. We have to stand strong as a people and not let our politicians keep taking us for granted. That's what we need to do. We don't want them to take us for granted anymore. It's enough. As always, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, comment, share your thoughts and idea. What do you think? Were you disappointed about this? Is it normal? Have we come to accept this as the norms and the way Nigeria should function? Let's have our conversation in the comment section. And obviously, I want you to like and subscribe as well, so that whenever new content like this comes out, you will get um, notification. And above all, please go and check our previous videos and the shorts as well. You would see enough of the contents we've created for you and to gear Nigerians towards the state where we want us to be at come 2027. Thank you, and God bless you for now. Bye.